you're a human being, I damn well know that you feel fear, uncertainty, and doubt for a lot of different reasons. We all have our stories of things that happen to us, our triggers that make us just pause, stop in our tracks, and not take action on the things that we want to do, or make us feel like there's something wrong with us. We get very judgmental about this stuff. If that's you, and you want to know what to do about that, then you're going to love today's video. I want to share today with you a powerful skill that comes from thousands of years ago, passed throughout the ages. That's beautiful, it's simple. However, it does take a lot of courage and honesty with yourself. But here's the promise. If you will apply this, it will show you how you can conquer even your deepest, most visceral fears, the ones that really make you worry about life, shake in your boots, avoid relationships, avoid the success that you know that you deserve. If you really want to do something about that, you really have to start looking in the right place. And this skill and this technique is exactly that. And I can't wait to share it with you. So first, let's talk about why it is that we even have fears, uncertainties, and doubts in the first place. Where do emotions actually come from? Because a lot of us think that something outside of us creates an emotion. Maybe so-and-so lies to you or something happens and that makes you get upset. And that makes total sense. And you would think that that person made you feel that way. But the truth is that your emotions don't actually come from anyone else. And this is the first foundational thing you have to understand if you're going to be able to apply this technique. When you really start to think about it, when you really take the concept into your mind about emotions and where they come from, you start to realize this truth, that they really do come from within you and not outside of you. Your body and your brain respond to your mind. Your mind is your sense of identity. Your mind is your consciousness, your self-awareness. The brain is the organ in the head that controls the body and interfaces with your mind. And then the body, has emotions or has feelings. So we can measure the chemicals as they change, right? And responding to all these feelings. And it's a fascinating process, but all this is happening inside of you. So think about it. If you think of draw a circle, and inside that circle is you. And then everyone has a circle. And outside that circle is not you. So inside of you, you feel and experience your emotions. That means that there's something that's triggering that emotion. There's something that's creating that emotion. And it's not the person outside of you. That person represents a trigger. They're pushing a button, right? But it's a button you're really kind of self-inducing. You're assigning a meaning to what they did that's pushing a button. Now that's not always a bad thing. If someone's stealing from you or threatening your life, you should feel like you value your life. So you should you be in defense mode, fight or flight. That's totally normal. But where this becomes a problem is whenever you feel this feeling sometimes if I want to do something in life, I want a good relationship, I want a better job, I want to make more money, and then there's some kind of story. And it's like you're pushing the gas and the brakes at the same time. And this can really create a lot of anxiety and stress. It's like imagine an engine in a car and you're pushing the gas and the brake. It's like revving up, but it's not getting anywhere. And if that's something that you're experiencing, then that's a real clear sign that you are feeling like your emotions are controlling you instead of you learning how to have power over them. So that takes us to the next thing you need to understand, and that is, what is it that causes an emotion? Well, the truth is, emotions are created from beliefs. So emotions are a reaction to a belief. And a belief is something that you learn. Okay, it's a perception or a way of viewing the world. If you believe from something that happened to you as a child that you are not lovable, as you grow into an adult, if that child was never able to develop that understanding that it is lovable, then it carries with this unconscious belief. Even if the adult believes, well, no, of course I should be lovable, I deserve love. And you can say that in the head, but it's almost like you know it here, but you just don't feel like you can receive that love. The reason for that is because when you were a child, that situation when you were in an innocent state, when you didn't have the ability as a child to question or to have boundaries. You just let everything in, and you think everything is about you. So you're kind of like a little narcissistic little thing. Like you think everything's about you. And so you feel like, keyword, you feel like it's your fault, even if logically that doesn't make sense. And without the proper lesson in life and without the proper nurturing of that into a healthy belief, you can unconsciously carry that belief with you. And so you feel it. It's like stored in your body. So when someone does something in a relationship that reminds you, that is like the trigger, okay, whether they intend to or not, it calls up, it reminds you of this unconscious belief, and then the body responds with all these emotions, and you get carried over by this wave of emotion. So that's just an example of how beliefs or worldviews are the source, the origin of the emotions. Emotions are a reaction. So if you think of like a pond or like water, when the rock is the belief, okay, and as it splashes into the water, the rippling out of the waves is the reaction to it. That's the emotions. Now, here's the trap that we get in when it comes to our emotions. We end up reacting to the emotion itself instead of becoming proactive with addressing the actual belief. So think about it. Everyone's walking around and they have these beliefs that are creating these ripples, right? Some of them are good. Some are good. We have good beliefs, good life lessons, like, I deserve to be safe and these things, right? But if we have an unconscious belief that is a limiting belief, what happens is we feel the emotion, and if we don't know that the emotion is coming from a belief, we're not. It's like we're blind to it. It's a blind spot. You don't even see it, and because you don't see it, all you have is this emotion, and you can't explain why you have it. And because you can't explain why you have it, then you react to it. So it becomes the source of now a whole new set of emotions. So you're reacting to reacting, and then you project it. You like, hey, da 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 da. You get in a fight in a relationship or whatever. You project it out, and then maybe they have their trigger, because you'll find that you tend to attract people that have their own little wounds, and you guys actually make a good match or good friends because you kind of maybe have a little codependent thing going on. You share in trauma or whatever it might be, and you can, if you're not careful, you project. And then they're reacting to their reaction, and you're reacting to your reaction. Everyone's reacting to their reactions, and it creates chaos. It creates disorder. It creates fighting, and this is why they say hurt people, because when you're reacting to that reaction, you do stupid things. You do things that aren't in harmony with who you really are, and then that further erodes your self-esteem. And there's varying degrees of how far people go this. I mean, look at someone who has become addicted to drugs. That's not a person that was trying to do something bad. Like, they have self-worth and self-esteem challenges. There's something very deep in them that hasn't been healed, and our tendency is to avoid facing it and addressing it. And so we all have our drugs. We escape, hang out with friends, we drink alcohol, we might smoke marijuana, watch movies, sex, porn, you name it. Like, humans have their vices that are their escapes, okay? So this leads towards the lesson that needs to be learned here. This is one of the greatest life lessons that I've ever learned. And gosh, when I remember this lesson and apply it, it's life-changing. When I don't, when I forget about it, I become complacent. I begin catching myself reacting to my reactions, and it starts to create more chaos and disorder in my life. So this is a beautiful life lesson, and that is that you create your emotions, and that there are beliefs inside of you. If you feel out of control, like you can't see why you feel this way, that's your clue that is an unconscious limiting belief that you picked up probably from childhood. Even if you had amazing parents, we all have lessons to learn. None of us get through childhood having learned every single life lesson that we need to learn to be hooked up to have amazing and fulfilling life. We kind of have to learn this through our experiences in life, and maybe that's what life is all about. So accept this as true. If you can accept this as true, then you can make progress with this. If you're going to insist that it's someone else's fault, if you're going to insist and keep telling the story of what happened, right? If you're going to do anything to avoid facing that emotion and facing that it could be coming from you, that you can be projecting and that you have this belief inside of you, then this isn't going to work for you. This is an absolute requirement. I understand that it takes courage. I understand that it's not easy and that it's in your nature to avoid it. But what I promise you is that it's worth it, because look, the price of freedom and the price of fulfillment is courage. You have to have the courage to allow the truth to heal, okay, to allow the truth to do its job and bring you back to the truth that you are enough, that you are lovable, you are capable. And you have to be able to admit that you're making choices that are getting in the way of that. Something that helped me to accept this, because it was a little bit challenging when I heard it, was the metaphor of the inner child. This is really, really cool because I mentioned, a lot of you picked this up in childhood. I want you to ask yourself this question. Can you forgive a child? Okay, can you forgive a child? And why would you forgive a child? If a child steals a cookie or does something stupid, hits a kid at school. Children do stupid shit, right? Because kids are kids. And kids, we don't have a high expectation of a child because we know that they're not developed yet. We know that up till the age of 7, 8 or so, that they're literally in if you measure their brain waves, they're in a hypnotic state. In other words, they don't have the high beta waves, the self-awareness that allows them to question whether something is true or not. So your mind when you were a child was like a dry sponge, and whatever your environment was, it was just dropped in and just soaked up whatever was around it. You don't have a choice in that. That's why we use the word innocent when we're referring to a child. You don't have the capacity to make those decisions. So that being true, I want you to think about your childhood and see if one of the big common lies makes sense for the experiences that you had. There's a couple big lies that we tend to believe as humans, and you'll find when you do this work that it's almost always going to boil down to one or all of these at some level. On a deep unconscious level, you believe that you are not capable. You believe that you are not enough. You may believe that you are not lovable. And you may believe that you are not worthy. And there's all sorts of stories that could have happened to you, whether it be deeply serious things like trauma where you were violated, to as simple as maybe your parents just complained about wealthy people, or thought that people who were, or here's a common one, it's better to give than to receive, is an idea that I know I was taught as a kid, which when I confronted, I realized that it's kind of like saying it's better to exhale than to inhale. And so you can end up going your whole life like, and then wondering why you don't feel like you can breathe, like you don't have enough money, like you don't have enough of what you need, because it's better to give than to receive, and you actually feel guilty about receiving. It's really crazy. Search your childhood and really ponder on that and think about it, and you'll probably find think about how the people around you behaved and how you could have picked up certain unconscious beliefs and how those can be tied to the emotions that you're feeling now. So let's jump into the technique. How do we actually do this? What I want you to do is I want you to think of a situation that is either happening now that you're in or has happened in the past, ideally something recently, that you would call a trigger. Okay, this thing happened and now I feel this way. Or identify with an emotion you're feeling maybe on a daily level. Maybe you're dealing with anxiety or depression, okay? So I want you to just, identify with the feeling, know that you feel it. That's the easy part. You're like, yeah, duh, I feel it. But now what I want you to do is realize that emotion has to be coming from a belief. And I want you to now assume the role of a parent child. So you take your inner child, that part of you that is, you can think of your childhood and project it if you want to close your eyes and just imagine you as a child and imagine you having some similar feelings there and what you can connect to it, and begin to see that you now as the adult have the ability to be aware from the perspective of an adult that there's a child that's feeling something, that's having a scary feeling, a feeling that's contracted, that's negative, that's stopping that child from enjoying or feeling fulfilled in life. And now as the parent, I want you to engage in questions that are designed to reveal what the real belief is. Now you're going to find that as you do this, the temptation is going to be to talk more about how you feel and to tell the stories, but both of those are not valuable at this point. You've already identified the feeling, and the story is just actually a projection. You're projecting that emotion onto a situation, but we need to flip the script and kind of put the mirror up on ourselves and ask ourselves, why am I choosing to feel this way? So just to take anxiety, which is just a fear of the future. So anxiety is really fear. You feel hopeless about the future or afraid of something bad happening in the future. And you can ask yourself, why do I choose? Or maybe think of the child and look at the child. Why do you choose to feel this way? Okay? Why do you choose to feel this way? And you're not allowed to answer with anything. You can't say, well, I feel. Okay? You need to say, I believe, or I think, or I choose. You have to take this parenting perspective. Okay, you have to hold your feet to the fire here. And this is simple, but this is not necessarily easy. You might have to spend some time with this. And this is, I'm talking about a habit that you can learn to do anytime you're triggered. But you've got to find out, why am I truly? What do I have to believe to be true to believe that way? So maybe with anxiety, that fear of the future, why am I choosing to be afraid of the future? What must I believe? Well, I believe that things are not going to work out for me the way I want. Okay, so there's a belief. Now ask yourself, well, why do you choose to believe that? You're going to keep asking yourself the question, why? Ultimately, you can't answer that question anymore. You're going to be like an annoying kid, like, why? So why do you believe that things are not going to work out the way you want? What do you have to believe to be true for that to be the case? And focus, like, what do you have to believe to be true about yourself? Okay, this will help protect you from telling the story. What do you have to believe to be true about yourself for it to be the case that things will not work out the way you want? Well, I have to believe that I'm not capable of accomplishing this. Ooh, now there's a belief. I believe I'm not capable. Remember how earlier I said one of the big lies is I am not capable. Now that you've identified that belief, what I want you to do is then ask yourself, how do you know that to be true? Like, how can that actually be true? Where did you learn that? Like, let's challenge, like, a belief is just a belief. 1 + 1 is 2. That's quantifiable. That's a fact. The sky is blue. That's a fact. It's quantifiable. You can prove it. But how can you prove that you're not capable? Oh, well, every time I go to do, no. Now you're telling story. Okay? Where did you learn to believe that you aren't capable? Think about it. Really, really think about it. Where did you learn? I guarantee you this is going to take you back to your childhood, sometime between the ages of 7, 8, 9, 10, before you were really able to think for yourself. Really think about it. Think of that sponge. Think of the environment you were dipped into. Were there people there that didn't believe they were capable? Did they not accomplish their goals? Did they complain a lot? Did they play the role of the victim? Did they talk bad about people that did well? Were they jealous? Did they tease you? Were you made fun of? Was something said that you remember? Was there some moment? Take the time and, aside from this video, and really, really sit with yourself and think about that. What'll happen is you'll conjure up some memories, and you're going to see that when you weren't able to make a clear judgment call, because you were innocent and as a child that you soaked this up, this belief of. In other words, it's not your belief. You didn't create this belief. The belief can't be proven to be true. The only thing that makes it seem like you have evidence that this belief is true is that you believed it so long, your whole life, and because your beliefs create your emotions influence your thoughts, and your thoughts dictate your behaviors, and your behaviors create your results. All the results are the story that you have in your life that you've been telling yourself is the evidence that you're not capable or not enough, are all just evidence, really, that you've been carrying this belief since you were a child. So now, remember when I asked you, can you forgive a child? Because maybe as the adult you sense, well, I should know better than this. Well, yeah, you should. But what about a child? Can you honestly judge a child? Can you judge that child for not loving itself? Can you judge that child for not understanding? I mean, that would kind of make you an asshole, wouldn't it? Wouldn't that make you just as a neglectful or an abusive parent as maybe you think that you had? Do you want to be that way? Do you really want to harbor this resentment towards yourself, towards the child in you that just never got the lesson? Does that make any sense? Is that self-love? Like, why would you do that? So, forgive yourself. Forgive the child. See the truth. See the truth shows you that that belief created all these feelings, and you've been reacting to those emotions your whole life, and you just didn't know any better. So that's easy to forgive. You didn't know any better. The child in you didn't know any better, but now you can see. Now the parent is able to love that child and give it the love that it needed. I swear this is like time travel. It's able to go back and reframe and bring love to that situation and be the parent and the coach and the teacher and teach the lesson you never got hooked up with. And it's like a domino. You like going all the way back and this first domino falls and it's like, and they begin to fall and the dominoes fall. And this process of revealing these unconscious beliefs that you picked up at the time when you were innocent will help you to heal your life, because it'll help you to make sense of why you've behaved the way you've behaved and the things you've done, why certain relationships didn't work, and how you projected onto other people. And just forgive yourself for that, because it's a normal human thing to do. It's common. And part of life, I believe, is that we're just learning these lessons. We're learning how to be that adult. We're learning how to be more self-aware and to learn and grow from those things. And that's the beauty in it. There's nothing that can't truly be forgiven. There's a reason for everything. And once you understand the reason and see it, you can move on and begin to start taking action in your life. Start to encourage that child to do the things it's been afraid to do, to hold its hand a little bit. And just to wrap this up, as you do this process and become clear of these things, you might wonder, well, now what? I can see that there's the belief, that can be a relief just knowing that. Now I would ask you to revisit, what is it you really, really want to say? How can you clean up your life? What are the conversations that you need to have? How can you be more authentic? What actions can you take that are what you really want? Because once you're not carrying around this burden, you're going to find that there's like energy has been liberated, and you might find yourself being able to connect again to enthusiasm and to have hope again for the future, to see that there's a lot of life to be lived and a lot of beautiful things that you can do. And you can see that, wow, you were able to go within you and find relief and find truth and happiness and fulfillment. One final thing to remember is that this should be a process that you visit often. I would start with this daily. Personally, I have like a little morning routine that I do when I get up, and the first thing in the day is I want to get grounded and kind of connect with this and see, is there anything I feel like a little resistance that I'm holding myself back on, and can I just bring those affirmations and that awareness that, hey, that's just the child in me that's a little afraid or whatever. I find that helps me have perspective, and that perspective allows me to then have courage, and that courage gets me into action, and then you start to build more and more self-esteem around that thing, and then you get momentum, and that's really an awesome thing when you can create some momentum in your life. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you have any questions about it or would like to learn more, then I would love to hear your comments below. Or if you're any objections, or if you're like, I don't believe you, then go ahead and leave a comment below. I really do welcome that discussion, and my intention is to look at the comments and make videos based on some of what your guys' feedback is. Also, there's another really good channel. I wouldn't be honest if I didn't give credit to them. They're here on YouTube. They're called Wu Wei Wisdom, and I'll put a link to them right up here in the corner. I really encourage you to go over to their channel and check their stuff out. They would be a really good one to just keep on speed dial. Like anytime you're feeling something, they have lots of amazing videos, and it's there's a couple there. I believe they're a couple, and I watch them all the time, and I love their stuff. And a lot of what I've shared here is gleaned from them as well. So full credit where credit is due. And with that, I just want to say, listen, we're all human. It's okay to not feel like you're enough sometimes. It's okay to deal with those things. What's not okay is to choose to believe it. Okay? Don't choose to believe it. Catch yourself and your thoughts, and be willing to self-parent, and don't let yourself get away with believing these things and talking down to yourself and that stuff. I promise you that doesn't get you anywhere good in life. You need to fill your glass up, and that is how you'll be able to give to others. Put yourself first so that you can give to others, and really question everything that you were taught whenever you were a kid. Because if you're not getting what you want in life, if you don't feel fulfilled, I promise you, you just weren't hooked up with it. You need to get the lessons that you didn't get there. So with that, I'll close this out, and see you guys next time.